Alexa, how many downloads for Jim and Bill, It's Another Day podcast?
From adweek.com. Today, the podcast show has fetched 400 million downloads since its start, and an average of 350,000 downloads per episode, about 3.9 million downloads per week, according to the publisher.
Well, what do you know? There's a lot of you out there listening, and we appreciate it. Don't forget to spread the word. Like and share Jim and Bill, It's Another Day. And once again, thanks for listening. Well, hello there. It's another day. I'm Jim Harrington.
And I am Bill Knight. Happy Monday. Hope everything's going well for you.
Everything is copacetic, thank goodness, except for the news. That's another story entirely.
The news sucks. I got to tell you. And you know what? I am so tired of the media, with their love fest of Kamala. Oh, she's so great. She's
Bill.
this, that. And it's all a lie after lie after lie. And they got Buttigieg out there. He's sitting there lying for, well, I got the facts, but they're unsubstantiated facts. They're BS.
But I got to play something for you. To give you an idea, I don't think it's working because Elon Musk, he posted the following piece of audio. It's a parody on Carmela. And in like an hour, he got 55 million downloads or listens. Listen.
I, Kamala Harris, am your Democrat candidate for president because Joe Biden finally exposed his senility at the debate. Thanks, Joe. I was selected because I am the ultimate diversity hire. I'm both a woman and a person of color. So if you criticize anything I say, you're both sexist and racist. I may not know the first thing about running the country, but remember, that's a good thing if you're a deep state puppet. I had 4 years under the tutelage of the ultimate deep state puppet, a wonderful mentor, Joe Biden. Joe taught me rule number 1, carefully hide your total incompetence. I take insignificant things and I discuss them as if they're significant. And I believe that exploring the significance of the insignificant is in itself significant. Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time, and there is such great significance to the passage of time. Another trick is trying to sound black. I pretend to celebrate Kwanzaa, and in my speeches, I always do my best Barack Obama impression. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's tight. And okay, look, maybe my work addressing the root causes of the border crisis were catastrophic, but my knowledge of international politics is truly shocking.
The United States shares a very important relationship, which is an alliance with the Republic of North Korea. It is an alliance that is strong and enduring.
And just remember, when voting this November, it is important to see what can be unburdened by what has been. And by what has been, Joe Biden. Do you think the country went to over the past 4 years? You ain't seen nothing yet.
Okay, so Elon Musk posts that. It got 55 million downloads and views. And the funny thing about it is, yeah, it was a parody. It was a joke. But a lot of it, what she said was true. I believe in making the insignificant significant, and that's why it's so significant. Come on.
Unencumbered by the past. You know what that means?
Yes.
Don't look at my previous record. And she does tout, she's black, but she's not black. She's Indian. She touts that, that if you go a vote against her is a vote against the black. But you know what? She's a radical who waged war against black males in California through unprecedented incarnations during the 90s. She'd lock a brother up.
She incarcerated more blacks. Not only that, Bill, but she kept them beyond their release date. I don't know how you do that, but she was able to keep them in prison after they were supposed to be out. And she did so, but she was using them as workers. Honestly, there's another term for that. We might call it slavery, indentured servants, right? Mm-hmm. These are people who were supposed to have been out of prison. She used to brag about the fact that she was putting more blacks in prison. What was the term they used? Lock a brother up is what they called it.
Lock a brother up.
Yep.
Yeah, and they talk about, she was, but she isn't the border czar. She is not, unencumbered by the past. I don't know. her past sins don't count. Don't look at them because she's Kamala and she's going to do great things for us, but she hasn't. And, unemployment, urban areas hitting 25 to 30%. California Attorney General was the largest incarceration, she had the largest
incarceration
of black people. So, I'm throwing that paper away, but we should throw her away as a candidate. But the simple fact is they are touting her as this great person, ignoring everything. Buttigieg was out there touting her praises and ignoring the simple facts of what she's really done, saying what a great thing she is. So I wonder what his appointment's going to be. It's not going to be VP because that looks like it's going to be Josh Shapiro.
I don't understand that, too. I don't. I think that's a distraction because she's the consummate politician, and I think she's really courting the Muslim vote in Michigan and places like that. And I'm just saying, from her perspective, if she were to put a gentleman who is Jewish in the number 2 position, I think that would go over like a pregnant pole vaulter with that segment of the voting block. And I don't think she's going to do it.
How good of a, and I don't like to put it this way, but how good of a Jew is he?
Shapiro? Well, the sad part about it is I look at guys like Schumer, he is the most unreliable. These are people, if you are Jewish, you would think that you would have an allegiance and an alliance of some type with people who share your values and your background and your culture.
He doesn't.
He doesn't. He would throw you under the bus in a heartbeat. Now, Shapiro, this is the thing that bothers me about Shapiro, and I live in Pennsylvania. Up until the time he was elected governor, I never heard of the guy. Had you?
But, he was no, I didn't either. As a matter of fact, I remember going to bed. He wasn't doing that well, and then overnight he won. And then he was touting last week, if they want to come after me, I don't care. I'll bring on the challenge. I've won every election that I've ever had. And I'm going like, there is the arrogant SOB coming out. That translates to, I have no fears because I've stolen every election
Bill,
I've ever been in.
I read an article over the weekend. Prepare for Wisconsin and Pennsylvania to once again close down their election counting like they did last time then restart it the next day. And, of course, they'll do the same thing overnight they did the last time. They haven't fixed a damn thing in either of those
states. It's not going to be fixed. And they're getting ready to lock us up again. Man, you hear about COVID-19 cropping up all over the place. So, obviously we've got the dumbest doctors and biologists and scientists in the world because they can't cure a virus.
Isn't it strange that this COVID will all of a sudden after 3 years, it just sort of crops up again just before another election. In San Francisco, the San Francisco city officials are now saying that if you're inside, they recommend that you wear a snug-fitting mask. Why?
Yeah, because they said masks don't work.
No.
Remember that?
Yeah, absolutely. But
so now, hey, wear a mask because it's coming back. They don't work, but we want you to wear a mask. You know what? You better stay inside.
And where is Carmela from?
Yeah.
She's from San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this is the type of weekend that it was. I want to play some more cuts. There's an ad running. We played it before, but I want to play it again. It's an ad by Dave McCormick, who's running for Senate in Pennsylvania, but it really goes after Carmela. And it starts out with McCormick's opponent, Casey, just being unctuous about Carmela. Listen.
Kamala Harris is inspiring and very capable. The more people get to know her, they're going to be particularly impressed by her ability.
Nonpartisan GovTrack has rated you as the most liberal senator.
I am prepared to get rid of the filibuster to pass a Green New Deal. There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
Would you ban offshore drilling?
Yes.
What is the solution for voters in the fossil fuel industry?
Giving the workers an ability to transition. We're not going to treat people who are undocumented and cross borders criminals.
criminal. That's correct.
Raise your hand if you think it should be a civil offense rather than a crime to cross the border without documentation.
Abolish ICE.
Yeah.
Is that a position you agree with?
And we need to probably think about starting from scratch.
Outdated, it is wrong-headed thinking to think that the only way you're going to get communities to be safe is to put more police officers on the street.
Would you support changing the dietary guidelines?
Yes. The food pyramid. What people
Yes.
to reduce red meat specifically.
Yes.
People who are convicted in prison, like the Boston Marathon bombers, on death row, people who are convicted of sexual assault, they should be able to vote.
I think we should have that conversation.
We have to have a buyback program, and I support a mandatory buyback program.
So for people out there who like their insurance, they don't get to keep it.
Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on.
I am opposed to any policy that would deny any human being public health, period.
The more people get to know her, they're going to be particularly impressed by her ability.
Okay, so if you thought that Joe Biden was the most liberal president in our history, Carmela is going to ask you to hold her coat, okay? Because she's gonna make Joe look like a conservative. Police, no problem, defund them. Everything that has a value in our country, she basically is opposed to. She wants to get rid of fossil fuels and fracking. She wants to defund the police. I mean, she's just an absolute mess. And to think, and by the way, folks, I want to remind my liberal friends who are listening that up until Joe Biden left the race, she wasn't even considered an option for your side. For your side, they were like, oh, Carmela, no, you don't want Carmela. Who else do we have? But for some reason, this leads me to believe that maybe, just maybe, she's going to be removed in the convention. Because by the time the convention comes around in 2 more weeks or 3 more weeks, they're going to say, well, we got to get rid of her. Okay, she's just polling terribly. She's not doing it. She hasn't moved the bar, and we've got to replace her, so we have to do it during the convention. And then you might see somebody like Hillary come to the rescue. They'll go back and dust her off, and she'll graciously accept the role as the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party. What do you think? Is that a possibility?
Well, I think it's a possibility. Kamala, though, is not going to go without a fight because there is a liberal Marxist fashion out there. I mean, if
that's true.
The apple don't fall too far from the tree. Her dad teaches Marxism, and I think it's Yale. Mama's into it too. Her sister is part of a big Marxist group. She was part of many Marxist groups and tied to China. And if you look at Act Blue, her money, she's got dirty money coming from China. Wow.
Oh, it was funny that during that parody we played a little while ago, they were making fun of the fact that she makes the insignificant sound significant, which is so true. I mean, I will sit there sometimes during one of her speeches and my eyes cross because I look at it and think, how can anybody possibly believe that this lady has an answer to anything, because she's vacuous, she's empty, she's a vacant parking lot. She admitted, by the way, that she was part of Joe Biden's disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal. Listen.
President Biden always said that he wants you to be the last person in the room, particularly for big decisions, just as he was for President Obama. He just made a really big decision, Afghanistan.
Yes.
Were you the last person in the room?
Yes.
And you feel comfortable?
I do.
Were you the last person in the room? Yes. And do you feel comfortable? I do. I mean, what she's saying is that she absolutely was in favor of that disastrous, deadly withdrawal from Afghanistan. That withdrawal, we have to remember, folks, never forget this. That withdrawal, the way he did that, it killed 13 of our servicemen for no good reason. And, we never hear about the other shoe that dropped. There are, to this day, numerous American troops who are dealing with the damage of that withdrawal because they were seriously injured but not killed during that withdrawal.
But
go ahead, Bill.
We're not giving any money to the families of the soldiers that lost their life, but we are giving money to the families of Well, the Afghanistans that
Bill,
lost their
Bill,
lives in the fight.
How about giving money to the illegals that just stumble across the border?
Well, yeah, we're doing that. I mean, I'm still trying to swallow the pill that we're going to give, people, incarcerated, maybe for life, for heinous crimes. They're going to get the right to vote. Well, maybe, now if you're a political prisoner like the January 6 people or Steve Bannon, you don't have any rights. You can't vote.
Yeah, well, we have got a situation right now where the left thinks that they have different sets of rules that they follow as opposed to the right. I mean, again, I look to the obvious. I look to Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon. They did something which Eric Holder did and Merrick Garland did. Now, Eric Holder and Merrick Garland are what? They're Democrats. Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro are what? They're conservative Republicans. Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro, they went to jail. They went to literally went to a prison where they traded in their civvies for the prison uniforms and the incarceration. Eric Holder, right? What do? They pat him on the back, they give him a pension, send him on his way, and right now he's in charge of selecting the vice president for the new Harris campaign. Do you know that? He's bringing in candidates so she can review them. That's Eric Holder who is doing that. And Merrick Garland, what is he doing? My God, he's still the Attorney General of the United States of America. He is still wielding that power. J.D. Vance at a rally this past weekend had this to say about Kamala.
I saw the other day Kamala Harris question my loyalty to this country. That's the word she used, loyalty. And it's an interesting word, simplify, loyalty, because there is no greater sign of disloyalty to this country than what Kamala Harris has done at our southern border. And I'd like to ask the Vice President, what has she done to question my loyalty to this country? I served in the United States Marine Corps. I went to Iraq for this country. I built a business for this country. And my running mate took a bullet for this country. So my question to Kamala Harris is, what the hell have you done to question our loyalty to the United States of America? And the answer, my friends, is nothing. So let's send a message to the media. Let's send a message to Kamala Harris. Let's send a message to every hardworking patriot from Minnesota across the country. We are ready to have President Donald J. Trump back, and we're going to work our tails off to make sure it happens. God bless you all. Thank you. And thank you for having me, Minnesota, a great state.
Okay, so that was J.D. Vance over the weekend in Minnesota. I got to tell you, they're doing their best on the left to divide and conquer, right? They're going back, and they found old audio when, I guess it was 2016, when J.D. Vance was not a supporter of President Trump, and he said things like, I would never support him, he's not my kind of guy, and all that stuff. And they're bringing it back like it's new, and it's not. It's not new. And by the way, President Trump and J.D. Vance have both addressed this issue, and they've moved on. You know, it's like J.D. he's older, he's wiser, he's gotten to know President Trump personally, and it's a whole different ball game. You know, but they don't want you to think that. Go ahead, Bill.
Well, what's amazing is, J.D. Vance has a past. Trump has a past. Where they've said things or done things, and when I say said or done things, not to the extent that they're pushing and distorting, but we've all got a past, except for Kamala, except for Joe. They don't have a past. They are saints.
It's funny you should say that, because you know what they're scrubbing right now? They're scrubbing her past from the internet. They're taking websites there was one website that had her at the top of a list of the most liberal senators in Congress, and that site's gone now. I think it was gov. I'll think of it later on. But the site is gone. They're going back and they're finding all these sites that point out her weaknesses, and they're getting rid of them.
Well, what they know is that America has a short attention span. They know that they control most of the media. I'm going to say 98% of the media. 2% of it is conservative. And the reason they control it, it is run by the state. We have state media. We are a de facto communist nation, whether you want to admit it or not. We have been under Democrat rule. Democrat rule, their democracy, our democracy, does not include any Republican or conservative thinking person, period. If you listen to them and really listen to them, look at Buttigieg. He's out there, saying, what was it he said about, people that are MAGA, make America great again. If you're a Republican, you're a cult.
Well, I mean, even Biden hates MAGA. Remember what Biden said?
Look, this is not your father's Republican Party. 30% of it is made up of these MAGA Republicans who are maybe democracy is something they don't look at it the same way you and I look at democracy.
I mean, this is the kind of crap, pardon my French, that this guy has spread. He spreads it like manure, hoping that it will fertilize the hate in this country. Unfortunately, it didn't work for Joe, but Carmela's not going to stop, Bill.
No, as a matter of fact, if you go to one of her rallies and you have a microphone and you say, hi, I'd like to ask some questions. Oh, you would? Great. Here are the talking points. These are everything.
It's funny you should say that. After Netanyahu met with her, right, she went out and did some impromptu comments. Only they weren't impromptu. She walked out in front of she didn't go out jointly with Netanyahu. She went out by herself. She made sure he was gone before she made her comments. She walked out, and if you watch the video, the whole time she's making her impromptu comment, she's reading off a card. She has a card on her podium that she's reading the comments back. Everything she does is absolutely staged. It's not. She's not an impromptu type of person because you see how that works out.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Right now she's sleeping with the Democrat Party like she slept with Willie Brown to get what she wanted. But I'm going to ask you right now. She's reading that little agenda of things that she stands for and she's going to do, which I don't agree with any of it. But let's just say that she did it. I could get along for 4 years and change it, but I know that it's not true. Is Kamala going to hold up true to the things that she's talking about there, which are not good, or is she going to be Kamala?
God knows. Tom Cotton, I don't know why they go on CNN. I guess they figure they have to reach another audience they don't get on Fox. So Tom Cotton went on CNN. Jake Tapper was interviewing him, and they were talking about Trump and Kamala, right? And, of course, Jake Tapper is trying desperately to paint Trump as being a villain. And Trump made some comments, and if you take just the comments that he made out of context, you will think, oh, my God. Fortunately, Tom Cotton was able to put things back into perspective. Listen.
I want you to take a listen to something former President Trump said Friday night at a gathering of conservative Christians.
Get out and vote. Just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years. You know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote.
How did you interpret that remark?
I think he's obviously making a joke about how bad things have been under Joe Biden and how good they'll be if we send President Trump back to the White House so we can turn the country around again. That's what the American people know. For 4 years, things were good with President Trump. We had stable prices, a growing economy, peace and stability around the world. Under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, everything has gone to hell. And it will be much worse under Kamala Harris. Just look at her record. She wants to ban private health insurance. She wants to ban fossil fuel production. She wants to ban guns. guns. She even wants to ban plastic
Not all
straws.
guns, some kinds of guns.
She wants to forcibly confiscate guns without even an act of Congress to do so. Kamala Harris is a dangerous liberal. She makes Joe Biden look competent and moderate by contrast.
Understand something, that every time President Trump speaks, every single time he speaks basically impromptu. He doesn't rely on the teleprompter. But when you speak extemporaneously like that, when you speak off the cuff like he does, sometimes you say something and it can be taken out of context. You can take a piece of a sentence and it can come out of context and be used against you. President Trump was saying that everybody's got to vote. It has to be massive this time. We have to overwhelm the system. In 4 years, you're not going to have to worry about it. It won't have to be. It won't be so crucial because things will be fixed and there'll be no way to cheat anymore in the system. That's what he's saying. The system will be fixed so that maybe we'll have paper ballots and we'll have to show proof of citizenship, things like that. And then if you don't vote, well, the other people who are voting have to prove they're citizens. That's the kind of thing that President Trump was talking about. But they at CNN are frigging weasels. By the way, we said this before. I think people find this hard to believe, but we have probably a bigger audience overall than CNN America. I mean, they have got, I think they said 650,000 viewers in the course of a week. It's just abysmal. They used to have millions of people who relied on them, but they have literally just wasted their audience away. They've alienated themselves intentionally, by the way. You don't do this. You don't make a mistake and not do a course correction. They knew long ago that they were screwing up big time, and they decided, well, we'll just keep screwing up and do it better than we did before. So
they made a deal with the devil.
They did, Bill.
So whoever is paying them, maybe the government or woke businesses, any ad that I see on CNN is a company I will not do business with. And there are a lot of companies that I trust me, I don't do business with them because I have other places I can buy groceries. I have choices. Yep. Still, I have choices. I have choices where I can buy my vehicles. I have choices of what vehicles I can buy. I have choices on what clothes I can wear. They don't own everything yet, but, you know, I will agree and disagree with Trump. This next election, it is important how you vote because you won't have to worry about elections after this election because if Trump wins, they're going to fix the system, and you'll get to vote in 4 years afterwards, and it'll be a fair Democratic vote. But if you do not vote for Trump and you vote for Kamala because you think she's everything that they're touting her to be, and even though you might have seen some of the negative stuff from the past, but it's been erased, so it must be all good, there won't be an election in 4 more years.
Well, that's what Trump said, Bill. He's actually on the same page as you. Yeah. Trump was saying you got to vote this time. If you don't vote in 4 years, well, maybe that's okay because we'll have the system fixed. You won't be able to cheat it. I think what he's telling us this time around is the left is going to cheat again, big time.
Yeah.
And the only way to beat that is by overwhelming the system to a point where
the cheat is already in. It's in with the news because Kamala got a sugar bump. But, you know, they're touting numbers, and the one mistake they made with me is the simple fact that 4 weeks ago, she was in negative numbers. Mm-hmm. She was in negative numbers 3 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, when she got anointed, overnight, she was within a couple of points of Trump. How did hate turn into love? Overnight. Have you ever hated somebody in your life, and the next day you woke up and said, it's all over. I just love you.
Well, how do the left, how do they feel about the fact that their candidate didn't receive one single vote to be their presidential nominee? Not one. Do you realize the guy who came in, I think it was second or third place in the Democratic primary, he got more votes than Kamala because Kamala's got no votes. She was literally selected by a group of backroom Democrats and inserted into that position. And do you feel comfortable with that?
Well, there's money that's exchanging hands. It's not clean money. It's dirty money. What do they call it? Act Blue,
Yeah.
I believe is what it is. That's where the dirty money comes in. It is not an agenda. It is an agenda. It's an agenda to get dark, dirty money. And they are actually there are people that are dead that are donating to Kamala Harris. There are people, just simple everyday people going, yeah, I'll send you $5. I'll send you $10. Well, that $10 gets multiplied, I don't know, 10,000 times, within the legal limit. And you go and check, you go, hi, sir, you donated $20. Yeah, yes, I did. Well, would you believe that last week you actually did another contribution? We thank you for $200,000. Oh, I never did that. Well,
if you don't believe us, go to OMG Media. That's O'Keefe Media Group. James O'Keefe, he was the guy who started Project Veritas, and then he had a falling out with them, and he ended up starting another group, which is basically, he was Project Veritas. So when he left, that was it for Veritas. They were done. But, he went door to door. This is what Bill was talking about. And he had the list of donors to the Democrats. I mean, $250,000 donor, $500,000 donor. And he knocked on the doors of these people's homes. And he said, "Are you Mr. So-and-so?" And the guy went, "Yeah." "Mr. So-and-so, did you contribute to Project Blue?" "Yeah." And how much did you give? Did you give a donation to Project Blue? And they said, "Yeah, I gave $5." "Martha, how much did we give Project Blue?" $5 or $10. "Yeah, why?" "Oh, so you didn't give them $500,000? "What? No, hell, look at my house." I mean, this is the kind of thing he went door to door, getting, and so what they're doing already, like Bill said, is the cheat is already on. The cheat is already on.
They're getting dirty money in their coffers, and they're lying through their teeth about this, and it is sick what they're doing. And you look at, they attack Trump. They say, well, Project 2025, which I've told you before, that is a Heritage Foundation wish list. It is not an agenda. It's a wish list. Trump had nothing to do with it. J.D. Vance had nothing to do with it. The Republican Party had nothing to do with it. It does talk about things, and then they go, well, they're going to take away this and that. I read the damn thing. It's 922 pages, and it doesn't say anything that they are touting. It talks about those different things, but saying, well, we need to readdress this and redo this. It's a wish list. It's from the Heritage Foundation. You want to know what Trump believes? It's called Agenda 47.
That's right.
Look it up.
Yeah, Trump said, by the way, during his rallies, would someone please tell me what this 2025 Project 2020, he says, I haven't read it, I haven't endorsed it, I haven't looked at it, but they're telling me that it's my project. I haven't done it, I haven't seen it.
Oh.
And I believe that. He's too busy to read 900 pages of a wish list.
Jill crawled out of her hole. Did you know that?
Oh, I heard, I think, Bill. Go ahead.
Well, you know, at the Olympics, and they had the transgender reenactment of the Last Supper.
Disgusting. Yes.
Yeah, and they've even apologized for it. Well, the powers that be shouldn't apologize for the transgenders doing what they did, because they did what they did what they do. You invited them to do that. You apologize for yourself for being a disgusting SOB or, bastard.
What did Jill do, though, Bill?
She raved about it because, she's approved things like that in the White House.
Sure.
It was spectacular. It was just fantastic. The anti-Christian parade that they put on.
Can I ask you a question, Bill? Do you think that these events don't rehearse? They rehearse. When you hear the organizers sound shocked, we didn't know. Well, no. I don't believe that. You had to see the rehearsals. You had to see what they were doing. Look they stuck. Did you see what they also did? They had robotic. It was called the Pale Horseman. It was a robotic it looked like death or Satan on a mechanical horse. The horse was basically just a framework. It was sinister looking, and it was. I think they put it in the Seine River, and it came up the river with lights on it, and it looked like the Pale Rider. If you know what the Pale Rider is, Satan, death, that kind of thing. This was part of the opening sequence. Nothing that they did, folks, nothing wasn't planned. That Last Supper you talked about, where they had the transvestites. They were taking the place of Christ and the apostles, but one of the apostles was a child. Now, people may say, "Oh, they just put a child there." I wonder why they randomly put a child there. Because they're pedophiles, rather. Excuse me, they're pedophiles. These. Now, I don't mean them specifically per se, but this is what their agenda promotes. This kind of nonsense. Would someone please tell me what the premier sporting event in our world, the Olympics, why they would open their whole event with a tribute and salute to perversion and to Satanism?
Because that's what this country is really all about these days. That's what the Democratic Party is about. They're touting it. They're promoting it. They're shoving it down our throat. They're normalizing it. It's been a part of Hollywood forever. Hollywood is producing their convention. If Kamala gets in, be ready to love thy brother, because that's what it's all about, and your child and everything else. We are going to be so distorted and perverted, and you know what? What? There's going to be, God's going to smack down this country because it is so.
Well, look, you will never get me to not believe that God didn't help President Trump 2 weeks ago. By the way, it was just a little over 2 weeks ago that we almost lost him in an assassination attempt, and they dismiss it like it was something out of an ancient history book.
Have you seen the latest meme? It's about Trump cheating. And the first thing they say is, he cheated death. He's cheated with women. He's cheated in business. But he cheated death.
Well, you know what they're trying to do now, too, Bill? If you go on Telegram, you have to be very, very careful what you watch and what you, subscribe to on these sites. When we do a program, we research it. We go to reputable sites. Our news comes from reliable news sources. We don't make stuff up. Yeah, we question stuff and we throw in our opinions. Yes, we do. We admit that. But we have standards on this program because Bill and I spent 99% of our lives in professional broadcasting where there were standards, okay? So that's where we come from. But a lot of these people on these websites, these podcasts that you see on places like Telegram and stuff, they don't come from that background. Some of these people never sat in front of a microphone before in their life. And some of these people, by the way, are plants. Some of these people are not on our side. And when I say our side, I mean the side of freedom and honesty. Okay? They try to manipulate you. I heard one over the weekend. I find it interesting sometimes to listen to some of these things just to see what they're saying. One of them said the attack in Butler was a white hat operation, meaning what they're saying when they say white hat operation means the good guys, Trump and his people. It was a white hat operation. It was planned. That he really didn't get hit in the right ear. You'll notice when he put his hand to his ear, he was putting a blood pack, like they use in Hollywood, in his ear and popping it so that this is the kind of stuff that they're saying, okay? And then
why did the doctor sit there and verify?
No, Bill, you're asking honest questions, but see, people they're not talking about the doctors, they're not talking about the gentleman who was killed in the stands. They actually did mention, they said, well, that was actually stage 2. No. They had a funeral for him last week. That poor family lost a patriot, and that's it. But they're trying to make this stuff what it's not. What it's not. And by the way, Bill, one of the things that I have not heard it, I have not seen it, but we played this the very first day.
My name is Thomas Matthew Crooks. I hate Republicans. I hate Trump. And guess what? You got the wrong guy.
Okay, that's Crooks. We saw him, and by the way, it's a video. We obviously don't play video on our program, so you hear only the audio, but
Can't find it anymore.
You cannot find it. They have literally and successfully scrubbed it from the internet. And we saw it, so I can tell you as a matter of fact that was Crooks, and it was the kid that they show, by the way. Have you seen the picture they show of Crooks all the time? They show it's like his 10th grade high school or 9th grade high school picture where he looks like an innocent kid. The fact of the matter is he was a tortured soul, a sick guy who desperately tried to kill a good man. Whether you like him or not. Go ahead, Bill.
He was in communications with somebody down in Australia and 2 other countries, that he was recruited, is what I'm basically trying to say. And he was in contact with people. He was in contact with somebody in D.C. in a building right next door to the FBI building. Now, you tell me that something is not awry here. He had 2 vehicles on the scene. He flew a drone. He did get his dad's, assault rifle.
Right.
Okay, but there was a lot of planning, and, he had C2. He had explosives. And
C4
timing devices.
C4, yeah.
Or C4, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not an explosives expert.
Well, maybe C2 is half of C4. I don't know.
Yeah, but 2 plus 2.
Yeah.
I don't blow things up for a living. I'm sorry, I don't. I'll blow up the news, but that's a whole different thing. I use my mouth for that. But, there were so many things going on here, and I don't know that it was his gun that made the shot, and I don't know. The ballistic experts say, the kid for the you saw the blood and his head still intact.
Yeah.
His head would have been blown off. So there's so many things there that
we haven't got any
up.
answers for. We haven't. No, you're right.
And then we didn't have real Secret Service agents. We had wannabe pretends that they put in. They took out the real people for Trump, and you had Larry, Curly, and Moe. And I'm sorry, it's blatantly obvious. But we're never going to get an answer because the person that has been assigned to investigate everything is a Trump hater.
Well, there were claims.
Is a renowned Trump hater.
There were claims that this Thomas Matthew Crooks was a part of MK Ultra, which was an experiment program that ran from 1953 to 1973, and then we are supposed to believe that they just closed it up and locked it away, and that was that. But
it's illegal. That's true.
But there was question. Well, is MK Ultra, was that something he was involved with, or a program like that? Well, the CIA responded in a response to the recent claims that Crooks was part of the CIA MK Ultra experiment. The CIA has issued a rare comment refuting the claims. A CIA spokesman told Gizmodo, I guess that's the site, these claims are ultimately false, absurd, and damaging. My question is this.
Why would you make that claim if it wasn't true?
Well, that's one. It's funny you should say that because somebody said now because they denied it, it would now seem that it puts fire on the flame that they actually are a part. But here's how they work in government. They'll say no. He was never a part of MK Ultra. Never a part of MK Ultra. That program is gone, and that's it. And
it may have a new name.
That's exactly right. They'll change it to, some other thing. They'll add a different component to it. Maybe they bring it
MK supercharged.
Yeah, and they maybe bring it into the digital world now. With no more chemicals. Maybe we can insert a chip into the kid's brain, and we can get him to do stuff he doesn't want to do. Hey, But it's not MK Ultra anymore. No. That program's closed.
Oh, well, then it would be AI Ultra.
It could be. It could be AI Ultra. Unbelievable. Hey, one more thing before I forget. I thought this was pretty good. One of the largest telecommunications providers in the United States is taking a stand against that Last Supper, depiction at the Olympics. They had commercials running in it. The company, by the way, is called C Spire, sixth largest wireless provider in the United States. I never heard of them, but
money back.
Well, they pull all their commercials.
I'd want my money back because I would say that's not the programming I paid for.
Yep.
Give me my money back.
And they pulled all their spots. So if they had multi-millions of dollars worth of commercials running, and that's where you hurt these people. If they're gonna slap us in the face, you slap them in the wallet. The fact of the matter is, this guy, whoever it is who's running the Olympics, approved of all of this stuff, and it's a direct slap in the face at Christians. You ever notice, Bill, that it's really easy for these people, these despicable people, it's really easy for them to target Christians and belittle us, but it's they never do it to other religions, It's just the Christians. We're an easy target because they know we turn another cheek for the most part.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, you're right. They do target Christians and the MAGA and everything, and the Christians are vile, disgusting to them. But it's interesting now they're embracing the Christians, saying yes, Christians for Kamala, Christians against Trump, but they won't elaborate who those Christians are or where they came from. And I'm going, you're taking the Lord's name and using it in vain.
Yeah, it's interesting. Bill, you're absolutely correct. They'll say, Christians for this or Christians for that, but they don't point to the Christians. They did mention, by the way, though, that there are a bunch of celebrities who are really happy that Carmela's the candidate now. Oh, I just wonder.
Well, she's for pedophilia, and she's obviously she's a sexual deviant. And I say that freely because of her past. If they don't scrub it, you go back and look. She had an affair with married Willie Brown, and she slept her way right into positions she wasn't qualified for.
Byron Donalds was on Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo, and he talked about Carmela's competence or lack thereof.
This is the thing that we were always looking at, that if Kamala Harris ended up going to the top of the ticket, that all of media was going to be engaged in a complete rewrite of not just her policy and where she's been, but in her political abilities. 3 weeks ago, nobody even wanted to discuss Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket. Now it's as if Cleopatra has reemerged in American politics. That is because the media not only has to cover up for their shameful cover up over the lack of ability for Joe Biden to do his job as commander in chief, but they are so committed to a Democrat sitting in the Oval Office, they will say and do anything in any headline, any media report to make it look like Kamala Harris has all of the credentials and abilities to be the next president of the United States. But her record says otherwise. And the Trump campaign and so many surrogates are going to make sure that the American people are fully aware of her disastrous record and why she does not deserve to have 4 years leading this country.
Byron Donalds on Maria's show. And it's interesting, Bill. We had Bibi Netanyahu speak in front of Congress last week. He did a really good job. I mean, he gave a great speech. And
great speech.
Kamala was supposed to, or Kamala, I don't know whether to pronounce it Kamala or Kamala, but the
Chameleon.
Yes, she was supposed to be in that speech in that joint session of Congress. She was supposed to be seated behind him, but she declined to go because she had to go to a sorority function.
Of course she did.
A sorority function. I mean, this is amazing.
More important, you understand.
But here's the thing: she can go to a sorority function, but listen to this. The New York Post has exclusively reported that 3 dangerous Palestinian terrorists illegally crossed the southern border earlier this month before finally getting caught. The outlet revealed that one of the terrorists had, quote, salacious photos, end quote, on their phone, including a picture of a masked man holding an AK-47. These are the kind of people who Kamala have allowed into our country. She's the border czar. And by the way, when people say, well, is she really the border czar? I'm going to play for you if I can find it. Here it is. This is people saying she's not the border czar, followed by the same people saying she is. Listen.
Quote unquote border czar. Vice President Harris was not a border czar.
Meantime, Vice President and border czar Kamala Harris facing some backlash.
What he said about Harris and immigration was not true. She was never appointed border czar.
And this will be her first visit to the U.S.-Mexico border region since she was appointed as the border czar by President Biden.
People going to have to counter the misinformation. You already hear folks talking about the border czar. She wasn't the border czar.
President Biden tapped Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, to be the border czar.
Now, she wasn't the border czar. That's what Republicans labeled her.
They were very critical of Kamala Harris, especially in her role as border czar.
Now what she's up against is folks lying about her border record, calling her a border czar.
Kamala Harris, who was appointed as the border czar.
The Biden team didn't declare her the border czar. They wanted her to work on kind of the root causes of immigration.
There has been so much criticism against Kamala Harris. You know, she was the border czar.
Calling her sort of the border czar, which wasn't necessarily the case.
So the border, if they weren't planning to address it in a major way, do not make her your border czar. She met with some of the Northern Triangle countries, but nothing has effectively changed.
You know, it's amazing. If it were 50 years ago, they might get away with this lie. But this is the 21st century, you know. This is 2024, and there's a recording of everything. I mean, if you go out and put the trash out on the wrong way, on the wrong spot in front of your house, somebody will have a video of it being put that way. I mean, there is a camera everywhere now, and they're pretending that they can lie to you about this.
Well, you're going to have to, when you see something like that, you have to take it, archive it, record it, archive it, and keep it, because they are good at scrubbing the internet, and unfortunately, people have a very short attention span. So the fact that they control 99% of the media, they can sit there and scrub and say, no, she was never the border czar. They're making that up. And you go, oh, yeah, well, and I can't find it. I guess they're telling the truth. Or they can call you a flat-out liar. And that is what they're doing. Don't believe, what they are putting in front of you, or, whether it's visual or audible or both, because it is an outright lie. I mean, Kamala right now, if you listen to the news, is an undiscovered saint. She is a prince. She is a queen. She is going to be the best thing since sliced bread. And by the way, Joe, who was a disaster, is the best president above Abraham Lincoln and George Washington and anybody. He is the best president ever. Forget about back in 87. Yeah, I lied about my education. I lied about this. I lied about that. I'm a liar, but I'll do it again. And he did do it again.
Oh, he
kept
sure
his
did.
promise.
Yeah, he sure did. Ken Paxton, the Attorney General of Texas, talked about Kamala and the border, too. Listen.
Being here, I want to get your take on your experience with Kamala Harris. You've been on the front lines of the border crisis. She says she was never in charge of overseeing the border. Your reaction?
Look, she's going to run from every policy of the Biden administration she can, because they're all failed. They purposely set this up so that illegals could come. They announced the first day of his administration that they were not going to deport people, and they just let the cartels bring as many people here. They helped them. They did the logistics for them. They moved them around the country, and their purpose was getting as many illegals in this country, and they were successful. So for her to say that she didn't have any responsibility, whatever her title was, she is the vice president of the United States. We know that. And she supported every single one of these policies, including every policy of eliminating American law that was supposed to stop this. She was behind that with President Joe Biden.
And what did she say about being on the border?
We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making.
Unbelievable. I mean,
I've never been to Spain, but I've been to Oklahoma,
Thank you, Three Dog Night. Yeah, that's true. But the thing is, she was not even good at hiding. First of all, when she says, well, we've been to the border, that's a definitive statement that you can't answer on. You're saying, I did go to the border. So when he says, but you've never been to the border, Okay, well, you caught me in a lie. She's a liar, folks. I mean, I hate to say this. She's not a very good one. So, I mean, if you're putting all your money in the Kamala Harris campaign, I hope you have some backup funds because you're going to need it. Because unless they steal it, Bill, and that's
I think they're going to.
They're going to try.
I think the steal is in. They're working on it. They're going to get there. That's what they want to do. And
but Bill, you got to ask yourself, don't you think that Trump and his people know about this? His daughter-in-law is the chairman of the Republican National Party. And so, and supposedly they're working diligently behind the scenes to make the elections fair. And they're not saying what they're doing. So you got to wonder.
They better do it pretty quick because we're down to, now it'd be 99 days. And you think we're being gaslighted now? Don't light a match. Don't pass gas. We are in for a storm. And
I agree 100%. I think we're in for a bad time. They're gonna every single day they're going to try to smoke you.
They're going to gaslight up to their convention, and unless all hell breaks loose at the convention, and I hate to say this, I hope it does, because sooner or later, the House of Cards has got to fall, and that's the place. I don't want anybody to get hurt, but ultimately, somebody is going to get hurt. So if the cards are going to fall, let them fall now or let them fall at that convention. Go ahead and blow all the smoke you want and get to that, because if they get through that convention, they're going to get another sugar high, and they're going to sit there and milk it, because I'll sit there and watch the news. Well, we got a story about Kamala. It's a good story. It's a lie, but it's a good story.
But here's what they're up against.
The next story is Kamala.
Yeah, but here's what they're up against. A new poll from the New York Times has found that most registered voters believe Trump is a change agent and that he will bring the kind of change that the country needs right now. This is a poll not from some right-wing organization. This is from the New York Times, the old gray ladies, they call it, the left's Bible, right? So, I don't know.
Well, here's a lie that just came out an hour ago. Now, you've seen all the polling. Harris is right there neck and neck with Trump, or just a point ahead, like in Pennsylvania. Sure. I think she was 1 or 2 points behind. And the story just came out. She doubled her polling numbers. Well, okay, so she's 47 and Trump's 46. Well, that's not double. And, unless it's double from what it really was before, or they're lying about the whole thing and just making up a fake headline to make it sound really good. And none of these numbers are legit. It's all,
I think you just hit it on the head.
BS.
No. I think you hit it on the head. I think you're going to see phony numbers, phony polls. They're going to tout them like they're handed down from the mount. They'll make it sound like it's the most honest thing in the world, and they'll try to depress the voting. They'll try to make the Trump supporters figure, it's nothing to vote for. We're going to lose anyway.
Well, one of the biggest lies I heard over the weekend, kind of a shift of gears here, but it's interesting. We all know that they want to, Biden and Kamala is pushing for it hard, that by 2030, 6 years from now, soon to be 5 years from now, we're done with gas cars. So that means if you just bought a $97,000 truck and you're going to pay for it for 7 years, guess what? It's boat anchor. It's worth nothing if she gets into the office, because they're pushing the electric deal, even though, and they're saying it's safe, even though a truck turned over out in California and caught fire and shut down the road. Oh, it had lithium batteries for cars in it. But it is not safe. We don't have the charging stations. We don't have the technology to quickly charge them yet. We don't have, the oomph. But then again, Kamala and Biden, they've shut down all the gas production here. They say we're the biggest gas producer. Well, we're buying foreign oil and we're drilling foreign areas.
Yeah.
Not here. But Buttigieg got on TV and goes, oh, no. We didn't say you couldn't buy a gas car. Oh, you can buy it, but gas prices are going to be through the roof. Okay, what is it? We doing away with gas cars? We doing gas cars. We know you're going to cut down the frack, whether it's going to be no fracking, no oil industry. You're shutting that down. We know that you're going to flood the border with illegals. They're going to get benefits. They're going to get jobs. Wait, not everybody has a job
what's going
here.
to happen,
I know you're
Bill?
touting numbers, but what?
You know what's going to happen? You're not going to. It's going to be so expensive to drive a gas car, and so unaffordable to even own an electric car. You're going to be taking the bus. You're going to be public transportation.
See, now that's interesting because I came home yesterday to hear everybody bitching in this little community that I live in. And there are a lot of people that have to ride the bus. I mean, people that are senior citizens, and that's everywhere. And it's a state highway that runs through this little town. And one of the guys, the one Democrat that's sitting on the commission, sat there and said, you know what? It ends next month. And he put forward, and because he has the gavel, swung it and said, no, we're not going to allow buses to come into town. If you got to go to a doctor's appointment, you can Uber it.
Why?
You know how many people are going to die because they can't afford to get to the doctor? So, yeah, I'm going to show up at Tuesday's meeting and say, hey, buddy, just so you know, we're going to make sure that your name is on everything here, that when somebody dies, I hope there's enough money in the coffers to pay out all the insurance that's going to go to the families, because I'm going to be sure that your name's on it. You can't you're cutting cars, you're doing all this, and now they want to cut down public
But this is the
transportation.
problem you have when you have government becoming so intrusive in your personal lives. I mean, for decades, we've had the freedom to go where you want to go and do what you want to do, like the song goes, right? Not anymore. If the Democrats get their way in the future, you will be restricted.
Stuck at home.
You'll be stuck at home.
You will be stuck at home. There's not a store in this community. You've got to go out of town. And I'm like going, well, it doesn't matter to me. I'm looking to move, but I'll move out in the country. And trust me, I'm not worried about transportation, whether it's electric or gas. I'm not worried about it. Very resourceful person. We'll put it that way. But this is going to be, they are taking over and putting a hardship on people.
Have you seen them try to put a fire out from an electric car, an electric vehicle?
You can't do it.
Yeah, you cannot do it. I mean,
by the way,
you put it out. By the way,
batteries,
you can put it out for a few minutes. It will it'll restart.
To produce those batteries causes more pollution than believe it or not, than to produce the oil. And oh, by the way, the gas burns in your car, and actually, unlike they like to tell you now, the super unleaded stuff does linger in the air. The old smoke and choking automobiles, it didn't look good, but it actually dissipated and went away. But when you got a battery, and let's say that it gets down to 60%, I got to get a new battery. The half-life, you can't dismantle it, you can't dispose of it. Well, you can dispose of it, but it's going to be around for hundreds of generations. And
Bill, where are they made?
China.
Right. So let's say hypothetically we're all required to drive electric cars. Okay, so now let's say that's 2030. Let's say in 2040 China says we're going to do something, and if you don't like it, we're going to stop giving you batteries for your cars. What does that do?
Trump had China on the ropes. Biden and Kamala are untangling the ropes. And by the way, again, Kamala's a Marxist. She is in bed with the Chinese, and that is a fact. Go do some research on it before they scrub it. If not, I do have an article on it. But the simple fact is she's in bed with them. Act Blue is giving her dirty money from them. This is, China. They're going to have the first ever Marxist candidate as president of the United States if she wins. And if you don't think they're going to take advantage of that, well, what is that going to mean for my life? Well, you get to live somewhere, I guess. You're going to get some kind of food, I guess. You'll have some kind of life, I guess. But you're going to be emboldened to them, and you're not going to have the freedom to be what you want to be, live how you want to live, do what you want to do. Kiss your ass goodbye on that one.
Okay, folks, it's going to be a heck of a week. I can assure you of that. Okay, I can. If you haven't heard the latest, President Trump will be doing another rally, and he has said that he's going to do outside rallies. He has said he's not going to be bullied into eliminating outdoor rallies anymore. This is a free country, and part of being a free country is to do the things like outdoor rallies. He's also promised to go to Butler, PA. I'm not sure whether that one will be an outdoor rally, but Bill, based upon what I've learned, there's no place that they could do it other than outdoors.
There's
right?
no place. Look, I live but hundreds of feet away from where the attempt happened. And right behind the property where I owned a house was the airport, the big trees there, and then right on the other side of the I could walk through the trees and be there on the airfield. It's a small airfield where he did a rally before. And then for the other rally, I could walk across the street, walk through the neighbor's yard, and go through those trees, and I would be in the farm show grounds. There is no center. You could go to a high school and have a couple hundred people, but that's not a Trump rally.
No.
There is nothing in Butler. You would have to go to
Is there an
Pittsburgh.
airport, Bill? Butler? Is there an airport in Butler? Do they have a regional airport up there?
No, it's a private airport, and that's what I was saying. Behind my house, you go through the trees, and there's the airport, and it's private hangars.
So you could do it either
planes.
at the private airport or at the farm show. But as far as indoors go, forget it.
You're done. There's nothing out there. I mean, there was a campground that was family owned at one time. It got sold, and there was a big enough place. But that's no more. It's not there.
President Trump said he's talked to the Secret Service. They're confident that they can secure it. They're going to double down on their security. My question is, why did it happen in the first place? Why wasn't it doubled down in the first place? I mean, their job was to protect him at all costs, and they failed. So
they better have some radar there, because I'm going to tell you, and I'll tell you why in a second. The simple fact is, if they have their polling that they show you, and they have the real polling, and they're attacking Vance, they're attacking Trump, and they're doing every negative thing. But if you listen to the news, it's working. If you talk to the people, it's not working. Therefore, they did it once, and they've almost admitted it. They come close to admitting, yeah, we tried. They don't want to do that. There are people inside the FBI going, yeah, we missed. We'll get them next time. There will be a next attempt. There will be another try.
Yeah.
And, I was thinking about it. Drones, they're small. They're electric. So unless you got something that can pick it up on the radar, could you not put a shooting device on a drone? Sure. And sit there remotely and take them out from.
Well, I have another question.
Drone.
Could they actually? You mentioned radar. I'm thinking, could they fly a plane into the stage?
Well, wherever he is, I mean, unless he goes and does it on a military complex where there's a no flyover, like when I was in Shreveport and used to fly, I'd fly out of Bossier. And, when I took that plane off, I either had to do a hard right or a hard left, because if I went another mile ahead, I was over Barksdale Air Force Base, and I would be forced to land there. I never did that, but I would be forced to land there, and I'd have military police sitting there, with guns aimed at you.
Wouldn't be a pleasant experience.
No, so, there would have to be, and I can't think of any facility in the immediate area that they would allow him to have clearance.
They must have a no-fly zone over his rally, I would think. Don't you think?
No.
No? You think it's open? You think you could fly a plane over his rally? Is that what you're saying?
I'm thinking you can.
Oh, boy. Well, folks, say a prayer for President Trump, because I think he's being courageous. I think he feels that he has to be this way. He cannot look like he's cowering in his basement. He has to look like somebody who figures it's a free country, and I'm not going to be forced to live a life other than a life as a free man in this country. So, you got to pray that he makes it these 99 days. And I'm with you, Bill. I do think there'll be another attempt.
I'm not going to put probability on it because I would give you a negative number. We've got a long way to go, but I will tell you this, and it's maybe you'll say, oh, he's a holy roller or, a right-wing Christian. But I sit there and I look at how fragile the world is and the state that we're in right now politically. And I look at old biblical stories where God sent down an angel and wiped out an entire army. And they found the proof of that all but a month ago, that it really did happen. And I sit there and I was watching because a friend of mine never saw the story of Yellowstone. And when the geyser went up and blew the chunks and everything, that's scary. I said, oh, you don't know what Yellowstone will do? They didn't know how big the cauldron was.
Oh, yeah.
And, what most people don't realize, we have two other cauldrons right below Yellowstone down around the Arizona area. If you look at aerial maps, you can see the two right side by side. They've been dormant forever. They could blow. But let's just say God wants to smack America because it's gotten unholy. Yellowstone would be the place to do it.
One of the other things we have to stop, okay? The left we've allowed the left to call everybody who thinks as a mainstream American. I haven't changed my views about America. My views about America are the same today as they were 40 years ago. I loved America. I saluted the flag. I believed God, country, and apple pie. I was proud of our history. I didn't realize that we had made some mistakes. Maybe I've learned a little bit about some of the mistakes we've made along the way, intentionally or not. But I think we are a great nation, and I haven't become a right-wing conspiracy theorist. I haven't been somebody who has moved to the right. I've stayed the same. But what we have allowed is we've allowed the left to define us. All of a sudden, they've made the word, for example, MAGA. I remember when Trump used MAGA for the first time in his rallies. And I remember him asking, should we call it this or should we call it that? Should we call it Make America Great Again? And people actually chose it, right? The movement's name, whatever. But all it means is we're going to make America great again. Nothing more sinister, nothing devious about it. But the left has grabbed it. The left has grabbed it thanks to people like Biden and Harris, and they have made it sound like the word Nazi. They've equated it to the word Nazi. They've called Trump Hitler. Go ahead, Bill. You have something?
Well, I was just going to say, when you talk about left and right, you've got your left friends out there. If you like Trump or you're a MAGA, unfriend me. And they say all these mean, vile things about you and being conservative and being Christian.
Yeah.
Do they not? And then all of a sudden you're their friend. In red, they post this. Dear friends who rely on Fox, just a friendly reminder, Fox had to pay $750 million for misinformation and stated under oath that Fox is not a news provider, simply entertainment. Well, they did get slapped with a fine, and they were forced to do that because they had no choice. But the simple fact is, anything that is against the left, because they control the judges, they're Democrat Obama-appointed judges and Biden-appointed judges, I'm sorry, but the fix is in, and you can't win in that court. Control the news. Anything you say, well, I think the election was stolen. That's misinformation.
Well, look, that goes back to Navarro and Bannon. They're in jail, because the left controls the judicial system. And what's his name? Eric Holder and Merrick Garland, they're out doing their thing, like nothing to see here. Just move along, right?
You know what? For the January Sixers and Steve Bannon that are behind bars, pray for them. Pray for them every day because they need your prayers. Steve Bannon, I don't know how he is. I haven't heard from him. I don't know if he's well, just sitting there brewing, or if he's being mistreated. I don't know. We aren't told. Not that I know of.
Nope. As a matter of fact, he's been silent, absolutely silent.
Yeah. Where is he? Is he in solitary confinement?
God knows. God knows.
They strip him naked, put him in a little
the man is in a
6x6 room with a bucket.
The man is in his 70s, and you put a man in his 70s in prison.
He may not make it.
It may be the death sentence. He may not make it. Exactly right. He's probably got at least another month, at least, maybe a little longer, in jail. No, he's in there for 4 months, right? 4 months, is that right? He's in there for 4 months.
He won't be here. He won't be here through the election. I don't even know if he gets to vote.
Wow. Well, all I can tell you, folks, is that 4 months in prison for a man in his 70s could be life.
He's only been in there for a month, and we got 90 days. That's that's not even 3 months when you count the 31 days. So no, he's not going to be here for it. He's been taken out of the election. His voice has been silenced, and I don't know that they're treating him right. But I will tell you this: whatever they're doing to him or abusing him, which is also a form of mind control, they're going to let it be known. By the way, if you say a damn thing about this when you get out, you think it's bad now. Just wait until we get you back.
If they can do it to Bannon, if they can do it to Trump, if they can do it to
you,
they can do it to you. Exactly right. Hey, buddy, another show done. We have got to wrap this one up. If you want to contact us, go to www.itsanotherday.com or www.jimandbill.com, and all of our past shows and our contact information is right there. And I'm done. How about you?
Yeah, I am too. It's not the last time I say this, but there will come a time when it will be the last time when I get the knock at the door saying, hi, we're from the left and we're going to shut you up. But until then, hasta la vista, baby. We're out of here.
This is CRN America.